Hi, and welcome to the Ellis Talker Show. I'm DV LeBron, and I have a very special guest on this my little series that I've been doing on the nonprofits locally. I have Miss Courtney Craig. She is the public affairs officer for Canine Companions in our local area, Canine Companions for Independence. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, ma'am.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So I wanted you to kind of tell people about yourself, and then we'll get into the organization.
Absolutely. Yes. So my name is Courtney Craig. I am the public relations and marketing coordinator for Canine Companions for our regional center here in Texas. I've been with the organization for about 5 years. I was fortunate enough, it was actually my first job fresh out of college. So I have loved it and been here ever since. I'm a dog lover, of course, but when I found this career where I could not only spend time with dogs, but spend time with dogs that are really changing the lives of people with a variety of disabilities and a variety of needs, it was the perfect fit, and I have loved working for the organization.
Well, it's always good when you get to do something so positive. And so I have a quick little story, and I'll interject myself. The way I came across this organization was I was interviewing Miss Montgomery, the DA for Ellis County. And when I was there was a dog there. And as a vet, I too have PTSD like many. And the dog came over to me and sat down and was like totally scooting next to me, like, hey, you're good. You're good. You got the jitters about this, but you're good. And I was like, who is this dog and who do they belong to? I have to get these people on. So that was the story behind that. But go ahead and tell me, when did your organization start, and what was the need that you saw that the organization saw?
Absolutely. Yes. So actually, Canine Companions was founded in 1975 out in Santa Rosa, California. And at that time, there was a lot of organizations that were training guide dogs for people with blindness. And our founder kind of saw a need for dogs in a different capacity, dogs that could assist with physical tasks. And so that's kind of where the organization began. We began training service dogs for people with physical disabilities. And we now continue to do that for adults, children, and veterans. We also place facility dogs, which is the dog that you met at the DA's office. And our facility dogs work in a variety of environments. They can work in courtroom settings, in criminal justice settings, but also in physical or occupational therapy, hospital settings, different things like that. And then we also place our service dogs with veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as physical disabilities.
So let's talk about the court option and why the dog that I met was there, and some of the functions or training that your organization does for dogs for victims of violent crimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our facility dog program is really, really neat. There is a very big difference in therapy dogs and facility dogs. A lot of times there's some confusion there. So what a therapy dog does, which is a little bit different, that's essentially a very nice, well-trained pet dog that works with a volunteer kind of on an as-needed basis. What our facility dogs are dogs that are placed with a professional who's an employee of an organization that serves clients who could benefit. And that dog works pretty much full time at the facility, a minimum of 20 hours a week, a lot of times more, with whatever client base that facility serves. So in the criminal justice setting, specifically in like a DA's office or a child advocacy center, our dogs are expertly trained. They receive the same training that our service dogs do. So they're trained in a set of skills that can be utilized in kind of a different way to help that client base. And so the dogs are incorporated a lot of times in the forensic interview process, in family visits, and then in the courtroom when the child or the witness is testifying. And we've found that having a dog present really allows for them to be able to tell their story in a way that they couldn't before. We know that dogs are comforting. The presence of a dog is comforting. And a lot of times, especially we see with children, where they're not comfortable sharing their story, especially if the abuser or the offender is in the room. They don't feel like they can tell the humans in the room, but they trust the dog and they can tell the dog. And so they're able to kind of feel a lot more comfortable and make the process a lot more successful.
Wow, and that definitely helps along. I imagine it helps along with children who unfortunately have to deal with those things, or just any victim. The dogs, do the dogs do anything special with, or do you train them to do anything kind of special for those type of victims?
Yeah, for the most part, all of our dogs receive the same basic set of skills, and I can talk a little bit about what those skills are, but it kind of is different in the way they're utilized. So obviously, a service dog who's placed with an individual with a disability is utilized in a lot different way than a facility dog would be in a courtroom setting. But basically, the dogs are fully evaluated and trained for up to 2 years to make sure that they're going to be reliable in that setting. They have to be very comfortable in a variety of settings. They have to be able to lay still for a very long time. And they have to be fully trustworthy, because a dog that's going to be anxious or nervous is not going to be helpful to someone who is also anxious or nervous. And so just the socialization and the comfortability for the dog to be in those environments is huge. They also are trained in a set of tasks, and those can be utilized in a lot of different ways. A lot of times they'll use deep pressure therapy, where the dog will come and lay across someone's lap to provide deep pressure and a little bit more comfort that way. The dogs are also trained in a lot of tasks that can be turned into games. So they can play actual games with the dog, just to kind of make them feel more comfortable, and whether it's in a forensic interview or a family visit, things like that, to kind of normalize the situation and help them feel more comfortable.
Wow. So they learn. Can you talk about, like, if a veteran needed a dog, what kind of things would that dog be able to deal with as far as PTSD for a vet?
Yeah. So for the most part, our typical placement with our service dogs for people with physical disabilities, we also place them with people with cognitive or developmental disabilities, and our facility dogs. They learn a set of over 40 commands. They learn how to retrieve items off the floor and then deliver them to someone, regardless of what equipment they're using, a wheelchair, different things like that. They're trained around all different kinds of equipment. They can tug open and push closed doors. They can turn on and off light switches, really all kinds of things to help someone with physical tasks and help them be more independent. Our Veterans Initiative, we have now expanded to serve veterans with PTSD. And those dogs get a little bit specific training.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt. I got to thank you for that, because my brothers and sisters in arms, they deal with things, and it is wonderful that you guys are doing that. So I want to thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Thank you. It is really unique. The Veterans Initiative specifically. Like I said, we place them with veterans with physical disabilities. So that would be kind of that skill set I just mentioned. But if we were placing a dog with a veteran with PTSD, those dogs do receive a little bit of different training. So they're actually trained in their own set of skills that are specifically designed to mitigate the symptoms of PTSD. So they learn positional commands, where the dog will come and stand directly in front of the handler or directly behind the handler to help create a little bit of space when they're in public. If they're standing in line or in a crowded space or someone's approaching, they can have the dog kind of create a physical barrier. They're also trained in anxiety or nightmare interruption. So the dogs are trained to recognize a specific indicator that someone is having anxiety or is in the middle of a nightmare. And the dog will come into their space and kind of interrupt that anxious behavior. Or if it's a nightmare, the dog will come and either jump up onto the bed or pull the covers off to wake them up from a nightmare.
Wow, that is amazing. Have you been able to partner with veterans organizations or the VA itself?
Absolutely. We do a lot of outreach in the community, trying to reach organizations who work with client populations that could benefit. So we're always looking for opportunities to connect with veterans organizations. As far as the VA, before we launched this program for PTSD specifically, we were involved with the VA study that was studying the benefits of a service dog for someone with PTSD. And so we provided dogs for that study. And then based on the success of that study, we launched our own program.
That is so cool, that you actually got to partner with that. Now, with victims of violent crime, um, they need a dog. What is the process? I mean, what's the process behind that? An abuse victim needs a dog. What happens?
Yeah, so I think it's important to mention, I should have mentioned this earlier, our dogs, while they're each worth about $50,000 by the time they've gone through training, we provide them completely free of charge to our clients, which is
What?
huge. And that's based on generous donations from people in the community, foundations, um, and our volunteers. So our dogs, each dog is actually raised by a volunteer for the first year and a half of their life. And those volunteers take on the cost that goes along with raising a dog for a year and a half. So because of all of those things, we're able to provide them free of charge. But the application process starts on our website. It's canine.org/apply. And there's a few steps to the application process. We want to make sure that the potential client is a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them, and that our dogs are going to be able to do what they're looking for. And so it starts on our website. There's an application request form. Then we go through a couple of rounds of interviews, medical reference forms, things like that. And then when we think that we have a dog that's going to be the right fit for those applicants, we invite them in for training, and they actually spend up to 2 weeks with us, kind of learning everything that the dog already knows and learning how to successfully use that dog.
Wow. Free of charge. That is amazing. Organizations like this are able to do that with your generous donations. I've posted the link for you to do a donation if you'd like to this wonderful organization. Now, what are some of the challenges your organization is facing right now?
Absolutely. Well, I think one of the big ones is one that everyone's been facing over the last year and a half with the pandemic. We've really shifted the way we've done things. We knew that there was still a need and that we still needed to continue to place these dogs with the people who needed them. So we changed what our trainings looked like. We had smaller classes, more frequent classes, partially virtual, which we had never done before. Before actually bringing them in person. And we were able to still continue our mission and continue to place dogs throughout the last year and a half, which has been very important. But as you mentioned before, donations, that's what makes this possible. Like I said, each of these dogs is worth up to $50,000, actually over $50,000. And that's because we actually have our own breeding program. So we breed the dogs. They're in our program from day one. They're raised by our volunteers, and then we continue to train them and place them. And then after the dog is placed, we continue to maintain that relationship and provide ongoing support to our clients. So we are here for the entire working life of the dog. If they're having any issues or they want to teach something new to the dog, but they're not sure how, we monitor the dog's health, how the dog is doing, things like that, to make sure that the placement is not only successful when we place the dog, but it's going to be successful for the up to 10 years that that dog is working.
So you follow up with the dog, but the person who's selected for the dog, they have to make sure they keep shots up, or just in general their teeth. Just take care of the dog.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Our dogs, we actually only place dogs that are completely healthy, sound temperament, things like that. So we want to make sure that that continues both with the handler and with the dog itself. So a healthy dog is going to work longer and happier, and that's what we want. So we do, have some expectations around the dog's health and care. But also we just want to be a support if they run into any training issues or they need some training help or they want to introduce something new. We're there to provide that support and make sure the team is as solid as possible.
Where do you get these dogs?
So we have our own breeding program.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and we have found that that is really the only way for us to meet the need. We have up to 400 people on our wait list at a time. And so we found that having our own breeding program is the way to produce the high quality of dogs that meet our standards for service dogs. And also the right amount of dogs that will qualify to be placed with somebody. And so we breed for health, like I mentioned, and temperament. So we take the best of our dogs and we breed them to make future service dogs that we hope are going to be reliable and healthy.
Is there a particular breed that you work with?
We do. We use Labradors and Golden Retrievers and then crosses of the two breeds.
Oh
So,
wow.
again, we've just found those dogs, they love to work, they enjoy it. They will work for just that good boy, good girl, the praise, because we don't ask our handlers, we can't ask our handlers, especially those who might have some kind of physical disability, to carry around treats and food to get their dog to work. So by the time that the dogs graduate, they are working just for that good boy, good girl, you're doing great, praise. And that's kind of the end goal. And so those two breeds, they love to work. And if they don't love to work, that's okay. We won't place them. We will release them from our program and let them be a pet dog. But for the most part, we found that not only do they love to work, they're also loving. They bond to their handlers, and they make really solid service dogs.
One of the things I saw with the dog, when you're saying they like the attaboy, that dog at the DA loved, when I started rubbing on that dog, she fell apart. She laid out. It was really cool. I mean, very, very, it brought down the anxiety big time for everybody, prior to the interview. So
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
yeah, they
So
love people for sure.
how do you how did you get involved with, as far as Ellis County is concerned? When and how did you get involved with helping them?
Yeah, we have a few different dogs working in Ellis County. And I think, one organization found us and applied for a facility dog, and the word spread. And now there's three, which is great. Three facility dogs, probably some service dogs as well. I'd have to look at where all of our dogs are placed. But, I think we find that once dogs are out in the community, of course, they draw attention. And a lot of times people learn from us from word of mouth or through great opportunities like this. We're always looking to spread the word. And again, our dogs are provided free of charge. So we just want people to come and apply, and we want to be able to place dogs that are going to help people and change lives.
There you have it, folks. Free of charge for those who may need the dog. I this is big because I was looking at a dog, and I've had friends, veteran friends, brothers and sisters that have looked for dogs, and it was very cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
As you said, it's like $50,000 invested in each dog. So the fact that your organization provides it to for free is extremely commendable, and I want to thank your organization for that. Um,
Yeah.
I have the link there for you guys to donate. These organizations survive off donations, and they're doing great work. And so really could use your donation. Just go to the page at www.canine.org/donate. Is there anything else you'd like to tell Ellis County about your organization, or maybe some events maybe going on? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, we love and appreciate donations. There's also other ways to get involved with us. I mentioned earlier, we heavily rely on volunteers. We have over 4,000 volunteers nationwide. And that is a huge support to our organization, specifically puppy raisers. So, as I mentioned, it takes 2 years for these dogs to become the incredible working dogs that they are. And our volunteers play a huge role in that. If you love puppies and you want to spend some time with a puppy and hopefully spend some time with a puppy that's going to make a difference someday, we would love to have you as a volunteer puppy raiser. We do have some events coming up this fall. Our Dog Fest event, we're actually holding one in Dallas, one in Fort Worth, and one in Austin. And then there will be some virtual components as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved with that fun annual fundraising event.
excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Ellis Talker. I really appreciate you and what your organization does. Uh, I wish you the best, and everybody go out and donate to this wonderful foundation. You take care, ma'am, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for
Bye
having
bye.
us.
Bye.
Bye.